You are not drinking tonight. On God, I will punch you in the face.
Are you drunk?
James.
If there's a party, I'm definitely drinking at it.
Is that Cookie or you, James? Will you crack a window?
Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror podcast. Today, we're talking about Talk to Me, the 2023 surprisingly Australian horror movie, which is under the A24 banner and follows, yes, the tired trope of exorcism, but I actually think this is quite a unique concept, so let's get straight into it. I actually thought this was a really good Australian horror movie, and even more surprisingly, this was done by Rackaracka.
Ronald McDonald!
So yes, their real names are Danny and Michael Philippou, probably saying that wrong, but they are previously of YouTube mega fame. They do a lot of prank videos, they do the Knack Nominate, like evil Ronald McDonald, like bullshit videos that, like, I don't know, 10-year-olds find funny. Personally, I don't really get it.
Wait, what?
They have crafted such a unique horror movie, which I see influences from like different 70s horror movies, definitely some 90s movies. Yes, it has that weird Australian, like, low budget edge to it, but it kind of works in its favor. So I was quite surprised by this. And not saying I had like high expectations. This is an Australian movie, so I'm like, yeah, it's on sale. Let's go watch it. Probably hate it afterwards and make a good hate watch episode. But no, I actually kind of like it. So, BP, you're right next to me, so we'll start with you. Yeah. Even though I'll edit this, but we're like split apart. But what were your thoughts on Talk to Me? So, talk to me.
I'm talking to them.
BB's just like running around being like, oh, wowie.
I was pleasantly surprised. I saw it in the movies. I think it's quite a good Aussie horror film, and it's probably the best one since maybe like Babadook. There's a Babadook. Babadook. Sorry, Babadook. Even though I didn't really like the Babadook. I disagree. I do like the Aussie side of it. I'm liking the Aussie vibe, and I like that they didn't go American with it. To see, like, even the party scene and stuff, like, it's just done.
Could have been filmed in Nambucca.
Could have been.
Bobby Hands.
Like, good scare sequences. I had a good time, and it sets it up for a good sequel as well, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. What do you think they'll call the sequel? Talk to?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Is it actually?
Yeah. But I thought they were going to call it Talk
Surely.
to Me.
What else was it going to be? It has
I thought it was going to be Talk
I mean, they should have called it I Let You In, personally, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Coop, what are your thoughts? I'm actually interested to hear what you think, because I thought you were going to like Smile, and I think you were going to like this. So what's the verdict?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I do love a well done Aussie horror movie, and I think they pretty much knocked it out of the park with this one.
Am I clear?
Not a perfect film in my opinion, but definitely one of the better Aussie horror movies I've seen recently. So I had a very good time with it. So
nice. I agree. For me, the only other Australian horror movie that I can think of is Little Monsters, the one we covered like 10, 20 episodes ago. Yeah. Although Little Monsters was definitely more comedic hybrid. Or what I say, horror comedy one time.
Yeah, that's the one, yep.
So no, good. And Pablo Escobar, thank you for joining us as our special guest.
Thanks for having me. My thoughts. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorite horror films ever, which is surprising. I kind of went into it because, there's always some stigma behind Australian film in general. So going into it, like, I don't know if I'm going to hate it. But I thought it really explored possession, which is obviously not a brand new concept, but in a different light very well. But obviously, teenagers doing stupid shit is kind of like a known thing in general. So having such a horrific thing happen in front of you where you have kids just laugh it off, I thought it was like a really fresh take on it. And the actress Sophie, who's the main actress who plays Mia, she's fucking incredible. Like, I think she's gonna go far, especially with this, like, shooting her into the spotlight. Like, yeah, so all around a great film.
I would probably rant about a lot of things I liked about this movie, but I would make sure everyone actually has a chance to talk about it. But I'm going to say I really like this concept. I thought that it took it on its head, makes it very Australian with the whole turning it into a party game aspect. I haven't seen that before, where exorcism has been turned into like a, oh, so cool, bro, let's do this, just touch the psychic hand. Like, if you describe that to someone else, they probably think, what the fuck? But then seeing it, you're like, oh, I could easily see that happen at like a house party in Torbina or Nambucca or wherever you used to live, Pablo. So, like, I could definitely see that happening. And I felt that it was done so engaging. The scare sequences, I'm not saying that it was like jump scary or anything like that, but definitely some imagery where I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't know we were going there. Like when the kid starts bashing his head, or even like the visions of him in hell. I was like, oh, okay, did not expect that coming. But yeah, really liked it all around. BP, what parts did you like?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I wrote down that, you know, it doesn't not trying to be an American horror movie, which is what I really like. So it made me sort of feel proud to watch this movie, to think like we actually can do a good job in Australia, because we don't do a lot of good horrors, or there's not a lot of consistent ones that are out there. So it's nice to see this is actually doing well, like reception, box office wise, overseas. And I hope it sort of gets like American, you know, directors and writers, like, you know, this is a good sort of film. It's a good plot. I thought the acting was really good. I really liked the acting of the mum. That was really funny, especially when,
Miranda Otto.
Yeah, and when she's like interrogating, I think Daniel at the door about the party and stuff. And then just even things when they say like bloody hell, or just like Australian sort of just, you know, language. And then, you know, it's never a horror movie or an Australian film without like the Telstra phone box, which you see in one shot at the Adelaide train station, the kangaroo. What else is there? There's a couple other Aussie things in there which I like to see as well. But no, it was, and it's well directed, and like good pacing. I think they've sort of got a winner on their hands, and there's no surprises. There's a sequel on the way, and I mean, it's made a shitload of money, and I think it cost 4 or 5 million. Yeah, and then I last looked this morning, it was like 69 they'd made worldwide, which is really good. And it's taken off in the States, which is really good as well to see. So, I'm pretty happy with it.
I do wonder, is it taking off as well because it's got the A24 banner? And like, there's a case for really positive word of mouth. There's a lot of great reviews on all the main horror websites, etc. But also wonder, does the A24 banner make it seem more interesting and underground? Or if it was like New Line Cinema or Warner Brothers, people would be like, another Conjuring spin-off.
Well, it's interesting. I've been watching like the box office in the States with it just out of curiosity, and most horror films drop like, 60% in the second week, and this dropped I think 40, and then every week it's only been going like 30-35 drops. So it's for a horror movie, that's really good, because horror movies usually bomb and they're out within like 5 weeks, like Saw or something would. But this is still sort of holding ground. Even in like Australia, it's not making as much money, it's still making a decent amount, but the drops aren't massive, which sort of indicates there's a bit of word of mouth going on, I think, at this point. And A24 has done some good films lately as well. So I think A24, I guess, is sort of becoming the Disney of horror.
They're definitely kind of the catalyst for being Frozen. Definitely the kind of pinnacle of like indie horror. And like something new, which I think everybody, especially if you're a horror fan, you're always looking for something different.
Well, it's just like
all kind of yearning for that.
They're not trying to do Conjuring 15 or Friday the 13th part. What are they up to now? Like 28 or something.
And like, I feel like I've probably seen elements of this, what happens before, but I think the way they do it, it works really well in this aspect. I'm not sort of like annoyed that, they're rehashing something that's possibly done in similar ways in other movies. I think they do a really good job at it.
And Coop, what are your favorite parts?
There was this, and I mean, I know this is coming from me as an Australian, but there was this kind of a sense of realism in the dialogue and the way that characters interacted in certain situations. Like, as I'm not sure who mentioned it, but yeah, Miranda Otto was really good in this. I mean, she's good in everything. Let's be honest, it's national treasure. But yeah, I love that, and that's always fun to have that in any movie, horror or not. I thought that the horror aspects of it, particularly the violence and I wouldn't even necessarily call it gore. It was more kind of like, ugh. But yeah, the violence in this movie was really, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, harsh. It kind of like hits you in a really kind of jarring way, which I thought was really well done. It was really well filmed. And yeah, much like the rest of you, I'm looking forward to see what they do with the sequel in what is it? Talk to you, talk to me. Yeah.
That's the third one.
Yeah.
Look who's talking again. They'll bring back Michael J. Fox. No, but you've touched on an important point about the Australian aspect, and I notice a huge difference when it's actual Australian actors and actresses who are in movies. The accent it's not put on. Whereas I specifically remember the first episode of Lost, that piece of shit mid-2000s series that went nowhere, and the actress who was American, she's pretending to be Australian. She's like, "Oh, mate, where's me plane?" And I'm thinking, no one actually talks like that. But in Talk to Me, they're typical. There's some that are very ochre. There's some that are just like, casual Australian, if you like.
Yeah.
It all felt natural. Same with Zoe Terakes, who's the trans male actor, and he does such a phenomenal job, like with the small part that he's given. But also, like, I'm a big fan of Zoe because he's in Wentworth, which is one of my
so good in Wentworth.
favorites. I was so late to Wentworth, and then I binged all seasons.
I still haven't watched the final season. I decided that I wanted to do like a complete rewatch before I watched that last season, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
It's so good.
Such a good show.
And like, this is what I mean. Like, I want more Australian content where it's like Talk to Me or like Wentworth. I don't want fucking what reality shows are they doing these days? The Block season 80.
No.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned this before, but have any of you seen the show Rake?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Very much worth a watch.
Oh, same with it's on Netflix, season 1, but season 2 is on ABC iView. The one with Kitty Flanagan, Fisk.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I've heard that that's good. I've been meaning to check that out. Yeah.
I was surprised.
I liked Utopia, so apparently it's kind of
and
in
the
that
first
vein,
season's like Coop, Melbourne, but very low budget, but effective.
Yeah. Is Utopia, sorry to go off track, is Utopia the one where it's all set in like the infrastructure workplace?
Yeah.
I started watching that and I was like, Jesus
so good.
Christ, this reminds me so much of my work.
I've got to watch.
And sorry, Pablo, to keep you waiting.
You're good.
What were your favorite parts?
My favorite parts, honestly, like you guys have all said, like, doesn't shy away that it's an Aussie film, but also doesn't feel like it's being put on, is one thing. Another thing would be just like the whole situation. You can see it happening, like, house parties and, like I said, teenagers doing stupid shit and just thinking it's funny. I also think it's like really interesting because I believe it's Danny who wrote the film. There's obviously like a allegory to like the hand and the situation into like drugs. So obviously house party drugs, like I think he even said there was a segment where he saw a video where he saw somebody having a bad trip and no one was helping this poor kid out and just filming him. So I think that's like kind of an interesting way to think about the film. Like I said earlier, Sophie is fucking phenomenal in this movie, and it's actually kind of interesting because they actually lost $1 million out of the budget from the producers because they wanted a name in this movie. And they pushed so hard for Sophie, so they basically got $1 million cut out of the budget for the film for that. Which is interesting because she's fucking phenomenal in this movie. Like, just the very small things that she does when she's possessed, and like, how having that situation where you don't know if something's real or like, cannot sing her praises high enough. And honestly, it's just proof that, like you guys said, we can do good cinema. We just really need to, foster and let it grow and really help these people flourish, which I don't know if you guys have heard. Filming the films have been cut in Australia, like funding for films, which is a big thing at the moment. I've got friends that work in industry, so this is just proof we can do it. So I don't understand why the New South Wales government are just like,
yeah. It's like, I feel like there was this craze around the mid to late 2000s where any type of movie was basically getting funded, but it was always from the same group of people, and it was always the same box office disappointment, the same shitty critical reception, and it's like our industry hasn't learnt. So even now, like, I feel like because Danny and Michael, the directors, had such an established following on YouTube, they could leverage that to, hey, give us a budget, we've got all these followers, we can do a whole marketing plan just on YouTube alone. And that experience, even if it is just video blogging or whatever, helped them to really establish a presence. But I mean, the movies I'm thinking of, like The Tunnel or Bait 3D, like all the shitty ones that go nowhere, get no... Oh, actually, I think Bait 3D got a major release, and then no one wanted to watch it because there was no marketing. And it's like, oh, a shark. And
I think it was also around the time feeling like Bait came out when Sharknado was around. So it was like people and sharks.
Or Sharked Out,
They didn't even release it during Shark Week.
Missed opportunity.
The only thing I can really say is actually some of the camera angles. Most of the cinematography is great. I like that. Even just like the slow zoom in where it's Sophie saying run. I was like, oh, that's unnerving the way that they slowly zoomed in, and then but then there's some other camera angles, like I remember this wide shot of the Adelaide train station. It just looks a bit too grainy. I just wish they fixed it up a little bit, and sometimes the characters seem a bit too left of the camera, but I'm getting very nitpicky about this. BB, do you have any least favorites?
Not really. Maybe I'd seen, like, I think you'd seen it. I had a couple other friends see it before I did, and it was maybe, in my opinion, a little bit overhyped for what it was. Like, I still think it's a really good movie. Would I say it's like a 10 out of 10? No. I don't know what's sort of holding it back. Maybe, I always say, like, something's missing. I don't know if something is missing in this. Like, it does a good job, but it's a good Australian horror movie, and it's like one of the best in years. But I can't really think of anything. I think everything's done really well, and I think the choice of actors was interesting in this one. Like a lot of ethnicity, which is good to see. Like this is like Tongan, I think. Or something. The guy, and I thought that was good. I can't really think of anything that was negative. So
which is fair. I mean, you could say someone's like really well made, but it just might not be to your taste.
Yeah, well, it was sort of something that came out of nowhere. I remember sort of seeing a poster and then it's sort of just when you see something and everyone talks it up, and then you see and go, I don't know why everyone thinks it's that great. It's great, but not that great. So.
Oh, actually, no, you just gave me something I don't like. I don't like the poster. I think the fact that it's focused on the hand, I do get its mysteriousness. I would have liked a series of different posters where it's like character focused. So having someone like Sophie, even if it's just her face, where she's like all weird, possessed and all that, just something additional that could have worked.
I do have a negative, and it's nothing that doesn't make an impact, but it made me laugh. Was at the start, and if anyone else noticed, I've never seen a movie with so many production intros. It was like 8 or 9 before the movie started, and it reminded me of Family Guy. Where they're watching like
Landing Man and shit.
Did anyone else notice? It was like landing plane. And I was like, oh my god, they're still going. And it was like Adelaide Fringe Festival. I'm like, okay, let's get on. It was just hilarious. I'm like, any more? But can't pick of anything.
All right, let's see what you got, Fox. Oh, I bet that's a sea monster. Oh, that's not the movie. That's... Yeah, I think I heard of them. Here we go. Movie! Well, now that seems intentionally misleading. All right, someone's coming to town. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, all right, period movie. Oh, not a period movie. Oh, this guy's in trouble. Can't wait to hear his story. Oh, come on!
There was a really shit rap song in the movie.
Is that the Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney one?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was shit. My
It was like
partner actually
Brizzy.
looked up the lyrics and was like laughing her head off at it. Like, this is so try hard. But yeah, no. Other than that, no. I couldn't think of anything that made me go or anything like that. Like, it was good watch. No negatives.
Nice. For some reason, there is like a bunch of cars or trucks outside that keep doing this screeching sound, and it makes me want to neck myself. But Pablo, did you have any least favorite parts?
I think like, and this, like I said, it's a bit nitpicky. I think there's like a pacing thing for me. Like, I don't know, after like everything goes from 0 to 100, I feel like there's a little segment that kind of just lulls for a little bit. Like when Sophie is in the hospital and she does see like her mom and she goes into like the bathroom stall. Like it's not a bad thing. It just feels like it goes from like here and then just kind of just lulls a little bit. But I guess that's also could be a creative choice, because you don't really know what's happening with Sophie in that moment. So you're kind of like with her on that ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, like honestly, like I said, it's probably become one of my favorite horror films. So like it definitely has a lot of rewatchability for me. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I mean, I'm taking my 12-year-old sister on Wednesday night. She's desperate to see this movie, but they're not playing it in Coffs Harbour or Nambucca anywhere. She's coming down to Sydney for her birthday. So I was like, oh, do you want to go see The Nun 2 or Saw X or Talk to Me? And she just goes, oh, Talk to Me? Oh, my friends want to see that. I want to go see it. I'm like, okay, well, that's like the least violent out of the three. So yeah, let's go.
And honestly, I think for me as well, like the issue with this film, for me at least, was like it's just so hard to find a cinema that was showing it at any reasonable hour. Like I went to event cinemas, I went to Hoyt's, they either had a session at like 9 a.m. or like 10 to 10 p.m. And I actually only end up finding like regular segments at Dendy's. So I had to go to Dendy's to go watch it.
Dendy's in Newtown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they actually had like proper sessions like you would see any other film. So yeah, it seems like at least here it wasn't set up for a success in that sense, because like I had to basically just go somewhere different where I wouldn't expect to go see a film.
Yeah, it's so strange that even George Street didn't have 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. session, and yet every other movie, like the Barbie movie, was in its third or fourth week at that time, and it still has like 25 time slots.
That's where they all went, and like Indiana Jones and everything was out. Everything just kept coming out.
I forgot.
And horror movies, I feel like get relegated to like late sessions just because they know people go late at night. But it's also like, but you want to go 6 p.m. sometimes. You don't want to have to wait. And then you're tired by the time you get home. It's midnight.
It's like,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Pablo.
Oh, which is interesting because, like I said, it's probably one of the best Australian horror films we've had, like ever. Let's be honest.
But self-sabotaging its own work. I do have a little bit of trivia about this movie, but first and foremost, so this movie is actually banned in a lot of countries purely for the dumbest reason. It's because of Zoe Terakes. He never states like his identity in the movie at all, like neither during the press junkets, anything like that. But I think it's Malaysia. They're like, oh, it's a woman dressed as a man, so we're gonna ban you. And it's like, he doesn't even talk about it in the movie. He just happens to be in the movie, similar to Evil Dead Rise. Like, it's never assumed,
stated or anything.
So I just find that completely fucking stupid. But a little bit of other trivia. So I actually worked with the directors of this movie on a completely separate project 7 years ago. I had to check my NDA just in case, like, my previous workplace had been like, you can't talk about this. But we worked with Michael and Danny Philippou on this completely insane Telstra project, which was all dedicated to movies, and in one portion it was horror movies, and they never really spoke about their love for horror, so I had no idea they were even interested in that genre. And that actual project with Telstra got such a fucking bullshit thing. So they canned the whole thing, and there were 3 separate series under the one banner. And I don't actually know why they cancelled it, because all the videos were like filmed, produced, edited. It was a huge $500,000 project and then got cancelled. But the involvement with the directors was they came in and did voiceovers, they wrote some of the scripts, they had involvement in some of the overall parts of it. And I'll put a little clip in, insert clip here.
We're joined by the gorgeous, hilarious, and multi-talented Sketchy Moms.
Hello, Mr. Gunn.
Oh no!
Look at little Archibald sitting up by himself already.
Oh my goodness.
He's quite advanced for his age.
Oh, you shop at Target Country too?
Definitely not.
Amazing, isn't it?
I can smell the polyester from here.
Trey wears it way better than yours anyway.
These 2 very different moms are going to be battling each other to find out who knows the most about these movies. Here's the thing, with holiday season approaching, we're going to find out who is the naughtiest and who's the nicest.
So I don't really understand why Telstra cancelled that, but at the same time, I did get to meet them, and it's like, oh yeah, they're just like 2 YouTubers, like whatever, who cares? We're going to move on to the next group of YouTubers we work with at the company at the time. So now seeing them have this huge success on their hand, it's just like, what the fuck? I never expected that.
Yeah.
But seeing the work that they did with us 7 years ago, I'm like, oh yeah, it was always there the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very happy for them.
Yeah, they even said like with the YouTube videos being like whole stunts and visual effects based, they basically were just taking as training for a project like this.
Actually, funny story. So we were supposed to do a recording session with both of the brothers. Only one of them flew into Sydney, and we're like, oh, what happened to your brother? And he showed us a video. His brother jumped off a table, off a balcony in this giant gymnasium, and ended up breaking his leg. And I was just like, is that normal? And they're like, oh, we get injured all the time. And I'm like, okay. if I knew that, probably would have signed like a liability waiver in case they try to strangle themselves with a microphone.
It's just what we do.
Yeah.
Nah. But they were like so easy to work with. So it's like, oh yeah, I can see how they were able to get the funding or get the production. Like a lot of talent out of those 2.
Yeah, and they did say that they had some studio interest, but they decided to go to the indie route because they felt like studios would try to like steer them in a different direction, which is always going to happen when you have someone putting a lot of money into a project. But honestly, I'm glad that they did, because like the movie, there's not really much that needed to be changed about it at all.
Plus, I love the fact that Miranda Otto just makes the most random appearances in horror films. Like she's in this one, she was previously in Annabelle Creation, and it's just like, does she get to pick and choose her roles? And she's just she's like, yeah, I'll do the second Annabelle because the script is better than the fucking piece of shit first movie, which we'll cover in a future episode. And then out of nowhere, she's like, oh yeah, I'll do this little Australian indie A24 movie. Why not?
And I just read CEO with Chandelier that they play, but she's born in South Australia.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until then. So that's, I just thought they put that in there for Aussie kind of stardom to be like, yeah, we have a good son as well. It's good that they also, I like that. I know Coop, you said about the Aussie hip hop, but that's kind of good to also push that in this movie, because you just get
that's just
100%.
from a personal standpoint.
It's
It worked for the scene.
Stuff in there as well. I think that's cool. So make it out.
The producers are probably like, oh, to Americanize it, let's put in Talk Dirty by Winter Gordon. Do you remember that?
I watched a segment based on they basically the directors rewatched a scene of Mia's first possession, but they said they use a lot of like water-based sounds. That's why the camera is just kind of like flowy in that segment, because of the drowned spirit that she summons. And there's also another like segment, basically there's a theory that her mum is the drowned spirit the entire time. That's why she's wet. Whenever you see her on camera, there's also like a lot of water. There's a lot of sound direction, was a lot of like water-based stuff. So if you guys are keen for a rewatch and form your own opinion, that's up there. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
I'm gonna keep my eye out for that when I rewatch it in a couple of nights.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Talk to Me 8 out of 10. I still think it's really good. And I know some people are like, oh, but you gave this movie 10 out of 10 and this one 8.6 out of 10. No, but I still think that it's really, really well made. I don't know if it's necessarily for my full taste, so I'm probably being biased, but I still recognize that it's a really great Australian horror movie, if not one of the best. Just, yeah, I don't know why I won't give it 9 or 10 out of 10, but that's my thing. What about yourself, BP?
Yeah, we'll go 8 out of 10 as well. Are we doing like 8 out of something?
No. You can if you want. I don't really care.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's a good sort of return to form for, you know, an Aussie horror film. You know, good direction, good pacing, great acting, and also sort of less is more with the blood and the horror. I think it's effective enough. Doesn't need to be in your face like sort of Saw or even sort of like Evil Dead Rise, that sort of stuff. So it still works really well, and it's good to see sort of Australia back on the map for Aussie horrors, and sort of hope the sequel pushes on that even more and explores it and more successful.
Nice. And Coop, what's your verdict?
I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 picked at eyeballs. I thought that it was a very entertaining watch, quite jarring at times. There was sort of just little bits of comedy here and there to sort of even out the whole show. It was, knocked it out of the park. Very keen for a sequel. If you're into horror movies, check it out. If you just want to see a decent, just a reminder that Aussie cinema, I mean, it's always been good when the effort is put in, and here's a great example. So check it out. Nice.
And last but not least, Pablo, what's your score?
My score is also an 8 out of 10. Like, it's very up there. It's not perfect. Like I said, for me, it's a bit of a pacing thing. But if you want to see great Aussie cinema, if you really want to see Possession done differently and interestingly, definitely give it a watch. And also, like, again, Sophie, just like, I'm so excited to see where she goes with this. So, great film.
So our combined score is 32 out of 40, which is an average of 8 out of 10. So surprising that we gave it 8. But I'm actually pretty... Sorry, let me restart. I'm actually pretty thrilled with this movie, and I'm so glad we got to cover it, because I have been looking forward to doing another Australian horror movie, but, I mean, the catalogue's quite limited. It's like, Lake Mungo, Triangle, Bait 3D. And don't get me wrong, Lake Mungo and Triangle look pretty good, but Talk to Me is way better than those both. So,
I tried watching Lake Mungo and I fell asleep. So I think that's
boring.
Yeah.
Up until like the one little jump scare at the end. Oh, and Relic. Yes, we already covered Relic.
Relic was good.
Babadook as well, if you guys want to recover that one. Oh, what's also interesting is that the brothers actually were film crew on Babadook.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Nice.
The more you know.
General Ortega's just like, I love them. Thanks, BP, Coop, and Pablo, for joining me for this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're here. I feel awkward.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Viewers, make sure you check out Talk to Me. It is available on streaming with Amazon Prime, wherever you are in the world. Also available to download through Pirate Bay. Don't sue us. Viewers, keep an eye out for our future episodes. We've got 1 Hour Photo, American Werewolf in London. We're also going to be covering Annabelle vs. The Nun, Oculus, and Ma vs. Mother, so make sure you check those out. Duet stitch all those TikTok terms, insert other thank yous here. Bye. Oh, fuck, I forgot that if you hated this movie. Shit. I don't know. And if you hated this movie...
What are you doing here?
I just came to see how he was.
He's bad, Mia. He's really fucking bad. Did you give him something?
No.
Come on, I know you've done shit before. What was it?
Nothing, I swear.
Look at his face.